welcome to Not Shepherd's Pie / Not Cottage Pie. I will decide on the name after YouTube tells me which is going to be the better in the search rankings. Shepherd's pie is usually made with lamb, cottage pie is usually made with beef, and I'm going with more of a beef flavour. But again, the algorithm, you may see lots of ingredients in there that you think, well, that's not traditional. I eschew tradition. Tradition! This is usually made with mash on top, but a little while ago I topped mine with polenta, and it was amazing. My first job is to gently warm up 300 mils of oat milk and 500 mils of water and get it all over the hob. So just let that heat up gently so it can be ready for when I'm ready to go. So I'm using 2 small white onions, 2 carrots, and kind of the remainders of a bit of rather limp celery. I'll use all of that. I dice my onions for this, but you can do it however you like, slice it, whatever. Same with the carrot. Put them in kind of nice little centimetre pieces. I'm just going to do the whole bunch. If you like to have a go at sautéing, it does help to have a slightly rounded pan, but you're kind of doing a J shape, so push it forward and pull it back. While these are cooking off, I'm going to finely grate 300 grams of mushrooms. I'm chucking in a couple of red chili peppers, totally optional, and I'm going to do seeds and all. Once the onions are at this stage, so a little bit translucent, chuck in the mushrooms. The mushrooms are in there partly for flavour, but also texture. They get a really nice kind of stringiness to them. It's a little bit meaty. They will release a load of liquid as well, so just let it keep cooking, keep reducing. I've got a 200 gram piece of seitan here. This isn't really enough. Ideally, I'd have about 700 grams, but that's what I had, and I didn't have time to cook and prep and blah, blah, blah. But I'll compensate for that with something else. So you can either do all meat substitute or all of the other things that I'll show you, entirely your preference. I'm going to season it at this stage, and I'll season it again later. Good liberal dose of black pepper, bit of salt. Salt is a very kind of personal preference, so use as much or as little as you like. And once most of the mushroom liquid is gone, go in with garlic. I'm using 4 cloves. That's a lot of garlic, but since we're still mid-pandemic and the chances of me being intimate is illegal, so I'll also add the chili at this stage. This is quinoa that I cooked in beef stock, so it's 100 grams of dry quinoa, and I don't know, I just chucked loads of water in it and then drained it off. And this replicates that kind of gristly, fatty chew that you get on beef mince, and it just works perfectly in here. And 100 grams of frozen peas. Mine are still frozen. I don't care. To make up for the lack of seitan that's in here, I'm going to use pui lentils. These are quite a firm lentil. They keep their shape really nicely when they're cooked, and they've also got a little bit of, not quite chew, but they've got a nice texture to them. I'm not really sure what the uncooked weight would be on this, and to be fair, you can't really mess the ratio up because it's not precise. You can just bang a load of stuff in, it's fine. Give that a good stir through. I'm adding some thyme at this point, dried thyme. I'll do about a teaspoon-ish, as much as you want. I'm doing it now because it's slightly woody, and it just benefits from having a longer amount of time to cook. I did half the seitan on a really fine grate, just to stretch it out a little bit because I don't have so much. And then the rest of it on the coarse grate. I would recommend doing it coarse, if you can. And also maybe leaving some of it in bigger chunks, because that's just nice to bite on. Bang that in. As it's beef that I'm after, time to get the beefy flavours out. If you're in the UK, or you can access gravy granules, just use those instead of having to do this. But I wanted to try and make a kind of nice sauce for anyone who can't. Do a couple of teaspoons of stock, about half a teaspoon of Marmite, that stuff. I'm doing grated 100% cacao. You can use dark chocolate, that's fine. Some coffee granules. It'd be better to crush these down really, but I can't be bothered. And I'm doing maybe half a teaspoon, a quarter of a teaspoon, and around a teaspoon of treacle, a good drizzle of Henderson's relish. It's like Worcester sauce but vegan. Squirt about a tablespoon of tomato puree. A little splash of balsamic vinegar. Maybe a quarter of a teaspoon, half a teaspoon. Do a little bit, taste it, and then you can put some more in after. You can't take it back out again. Give that a little taste. A bit more salt and pepper. Last bit of seasoning. Tiny bit of celery salt. I'm using a little pinch of allspice or pimento. That gives a really lovely sort of warm, rounded, spiced flavour. Because this is going to be a kind of pie sort of thing. When you pack it down, hold its shape. If it's very dry and crumbly, just mix up some cornstarch and water and add that in. You might have to add a bit more liquid in there as well, and then more flavours just to get it. You want it to pack down. So into my milk and water, I'm going to put the grits. A little tip is to pour them in over your hand, and it just helps kind of sieve it in a way, makes it so it doesn't lump as quickly. Give it a stir. I'm on a low-medium heat, so mine's on 4, goes up to 9. Put the lid on just for a minute or two. Once you're at that stage, give it a good old stir. I'll add 75 grams of butter. Admittedly, I didn't have enough butter, so I've got margin there as well. That's fine. 75 grams of vegan parmesan and a really liberal dash of Newt. So I'll do about 4 tablespoons to boost that cheesy flavour. Give that a mix. I like to advocate for non-stick baking pans because it makes you clean up much easier. And then pack it in and smooth it down. The more densely packed you can get it in there, the better it'll set and it'll firm up nicer. You can use grits or polenta for this at the same ratio. I wasn't sure if the same ratio would work, but it does, confirmed. So give it a stir and break it up a little bit in the pan, and then just gloop a spoonful on the top, and then same kind of technique, just pack it down nice and tightly. So on a shepherd's pie, you can run a fork through it, and it makes some like little crispy bits on top. This won't work as well because the grits have got a stickier texture, but seems to be doing okay. This will now go in the oven. Really, it wants about half an hour. The intent is not to cook anything, but it's just to help kind of bring everything together a little bit and get a nice crunch on top. But you feel free to eat it at this stage, that's fine. Not shepherd's pie was in for about 45 minutes or so. Managed to find some jobs to stave it off a little bit. You can see there's lots of lovely little crunchy golden brown bits on top. This is always better the next day. The flavours have time to develop, it gets a little bit firmer and easier to kind of cut and section. Ignoring its less than perfect appearance, let's see how it tastes. It's hot, but delicious. This is a great winter warmer, really rich, hearty flavours, lots of lovely stuff in there that warms your cockles on a winter's day. And the flavours will continue to develop, get more and more rich, and it will set harder and harder. For more vegan twists on the classics, hit subscribe, tap that bell icon, and you won't miss a single one.